Hey, you guys, it is Mo. It is the 5th of May, and we have all of Monday's crazy, crazy news to start this week. I did start a little early because we've got a lot of news, believe it or not, on a Monday. Good morning. Thank you, Wolfram, as always, for your Modly Mod duties. 80s Music Man, P. Lola's mom. Let's see, Tammy Bogard, Wolfram, as always, just regular Wolfram now, Tammy CA, John Naylor, Lori Ann, tons of fun, and everyone, good morning. So, if you saw my video yesterday, yes, today is the start of the Diddy trial. Did he do it? Did he not? I don't know. Will he need some aloe after this? Probably so. Will they give him, special dispensation of his special baby oil? I don't know. Will we see pictures of Diddy's prison wallet? Who knows? It's not televised, it's a federal case, so I guess we won't be seeing all those pictures. But they are starting jury selection today, so it's going down for real. Jury selection begins this morning in one of the toughest jurisdictions in the nation, the Southern District of New York, for the federal trafficking and racketeering trial of hip hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Now, the 55-year-old Bad Boys record founder not only committed the cardinal sin of every step you take being sampled in his songs, the police are not a fan. That being said, I do love the police, so yeah, that particular sample was upsetting to me. But he's really on trial for all of the, freak offs and craziness. So I'm not going to get into this too much because I did make a full video kind of going over the full, Diddy trial. But we are going to start jury selections this week. It is planned to be a 10-week trial, so it'll be interesting to find people. I mean, honest to goodness, I might be a person because I'm like, I've read stories, but I don't know much about, like, on the list of things that I'm currently obsessed with. Diddy is not on the list. So I may be, called for jury. I'm just kidding. I live in Indiana. I can't. But there you go. Now, in the strangest news that I've heard this year, apparently Florida does not allow, the nose powder, or at least Disney doesn't, from their employees. Now, or at least their visitors. Now, I'm thinking ahead for you, Disney. You might want to say that all of your financial and movie film sort of choices were all because of, well, Colombian, marching powder. I'm just saying when the stockholders start asking where all their money went, it might be something you can fall back on. A Florida man was banned from Disney World after he allegedly tried to sneak in a little bit of nose powder into a bulky wallet. Please be prison wallet. Please be prison wallet. It's Florida. I mean, there you go. A Florida man was banned from Disney World after allegedly attempting to sneak a wallet full of, well, magical powder into the Magic Kingdom. He could have called it pixie dust. I think he might have gotten away with it if he did. Dustin Lee Wallace, 44, was arrested March 29th and charged with possession of, well, the powder, if you will, according to a arrest affidavit that was obtained by People. Now, he has pled not guilty. There you go. Let's see how that's going to work out for him. Around 5:20 p.m. on March 29th, Wallace and his son were trying to enter the Magic Kingdom through a bus loop security checkpoint. When they entered the security guard's line, they were scanned with a metal detector. Now, the scanner went off about, his back pocket. According to a statement from the sheriff's officer, when security asked Wallace to empty his pocket, at which point he appeared to get a bit nervous, a bit shifty-eyed, if you will. He then opened his bulky wallet and they found an alleged bag of powdery white substances. Again, you could have said it was baby powder. Now, Disney security then told Wallace to leave the park and warned him not to return to any Disney parks, hotels, or properties after a field test allegedly came back positive for, well, Colombian powder. The security then called the sheriff's office to report him. Now, deputies from Orange County Sheriff's Office arrived at the Magic Kingdom and took a statement from Wallace, who said he'd been using it for, he's medicinally using the powder for stress at work. Now, I may have all of my not street legal pharmaceuticals mixed up, but I don't think that particular powder is known for its calming attributes. Wallace admitted to police that he had put the powder into his wallet and was attempting to bring it into the Disney park. Fair enough. He was taken into custody and booked into jail. Now, his bond was set at $2,500 and his case is still pending. His attorney could not be immediately reached for any comment. Again, I'm kind of seeing his point because I would want to be on a variety of mind altering substances if I had to both pay and be at Disney World. Look, I know there are people that love Disney and God bless y'all, because as an adult, Disney is like one of the ninth circles of hell for me. It's too expensive, it's too hot. You're basically waiting in line and surrounded by people in furry costumes who wanna hug you. It's just like all of my least favorite things all in one place. So, I can sort of understand this man's point, but not when he has children with him, and of course, that is tongue in cheek because you shouldn't be doing, not street legal pharmaceuticals with your children at Disney World. I don't know who needed to hear this particular public service announcement, but there you have it. As you do. In other, amusement park sad news, it seems that Six Flag is planning to permanently shut down one of its, more famous theme parks after a full 25 years in service. Maryland's, Six Flag America will be shutting down after its last day, November 2nd, 2025. So if you'd like to go to Six Flags in Maryland, you have a time limit. Now, Six Flags park goers will have to find their thrills elsewhere. The theme park announced on May 1st that it plans to shut down Six Flags America and Hurricane Harbor in Bowie, Maryland at the end of the 2025 season. As part of our comprehensive review of our park portfolio, we have determined that Six Flag America and Hurricane Harbor are not a strategic fit with the company's long-term growth plan. Okie dokie. Well, I mean, I like going to not Disney World related parks. I will say, if you are in the Midwest, Indiana does have a great small park called Holiday World. Really, really good. Love, love, love them. They have free drinks and sunblock. Have you met my family? They are all complected as me. So, free sunblock is like a great selling point. It has a water park and everything, and the people that work there are really nice. So, there's my plug for Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. You get free drinks and honestly, or free refills, and that's a big sell for me. But I guess if you're in Maryland, you can come on over to Holiday World because there's pretty good. And JKD Buck is right. If you would like to, reenact Escape from LA, Mad Max, and Escape from New York, you have many genres that you can cosplay in about, well, Gary, Indiana. There is no lack of post-apocalyptic things that you can play in Gary, Indiana. I am Indiana's tourism group. Now, y'all, as someone who has kids going to college, again, little peon kids going up to professors to ask them what they do all day is a little bit jerk-faced, but as a person who's gonna be paying tuitions, I'm kind of okay with this. Honestly, a Doge-inspired Brown student faces disciplinary action for asking staff what they do all day as tuition soars. Make this man the president of Brown University. I'm here for it. A sophomore at Brown University is facing disciplinary action after he sent a Doge-like email to non-faculty employees asking them what they do all day to try to figure out why the Ivy League's tuition has gotten so expensive. The university is brown. He is also complected brown, but there was no correlation on my part on that one. But yes, apparently he's Brown is charging me for misrepresentation for saying I am affiliated with Brown Spectator, which I am because the Brown Spectator is an independent nonprofit and a registered student group, Alex Shea told Fox News Digital in an email statement. Brown is also charging me for violating their IT policies for publishing Brown employee data without specifying which provisions of the IT policy were violated. He maintains, however, that he did not violate any provisions of its IT, policy. Now, during free weekends in March, Shay went up to the common room in his dorm's basement, a space that floods when it rains and requires plastic tarps, despite the school's, $90,000 yearly tuition, and used AI to try to determine what Brown employees did and why the school was so expensive. The sophomore created a database of 3,805 non faculty employees who worked at Brown University and emailed to ask them, "What do you do all day?" Now, the inquiry, he said that he identified himself as a journalist for the Brown Spectator. Brown University possibly changed Spectator. I don't, the, look, it's just not a great name. It doesn't roll. It reminds me of a poo, to be honest. Like if my sons were to name a superhero after a poo, it would be something like the brown spookulator or the turdlet. And I'm saying as a boy mom, that's where my brain goes. So he did say that he was a dormant on-campus librarian or libertarian journalist, that a group of students was planning to relaunch this Brown Spectator. So he does claim that he's an independent, journalist. Now he formed his database to identify three particular jobs: redundant jobs, BS jobs, and frivolous jobs. He was like, I'm going to see why it is I'm paying 90,000 a year and I have to live with a basement that floods and tarps. So I think that this is a good idea. I think all of us looking at our institutions and figuring out what was going on. And if Brown decides to go after this student for asking very prudent questions, I I I will stand up because I have the same questions as a parent who's getting ready to send two of their children in the next 2 years to college. I'd really like to know what you people do here. That's all I'm asking. So if they go after this young man, I am going to we're going to get some angry moms together who are just tired of paying for a bunch of stuff, and we're going to go down to Brown. Well, they can't cruise no more. This is a story from last week that I didn't get to cover, but dozens were put on the no sail list after a massive brawl broke out on a Carnival cruise ship. I have 3 girls first and then 3 boys, and I think I got too cocky. Because here's what happened. I was on my 4th child, and they're like, "It's gonna be a boy," and I thought, "I'm a vet. I've got 3 kids at home. Uh, Boy, girl, no difference made." And then I brought said feral boy children home, and I was like, "Oh, they just don't ever stop trying to hurt themselves and their siblings. This is the difference." Because some girls now, my first 2 girls would sit down and play kindly, nicely, little Barbies, play house. My youngest daughter and the 4 feral boys, "We're gonna go play Godzilla." And my house is just whoosh, broken. Disturbing video has captured the massive brawl that broke out among Carnival cruise ship passengers in Texas, resulting in more than a dozen people being banned from the cruise liner for life. Now, the violence erupted as scores of passengers were disembarking from the Carnival Jubilee when it was docked in Galveston on Saturday, following a week long Caribbean jaunt, according to the footage shared on social media. "It went down this morning," said Terrell Ray, who shared a clip on Facebook. The footage showed multiple passengers barging past barriers to trade blows. At one point, a man was shoved to the floor before a handful of others started violently pummeling him. Now, multiple security guards could be seen trying to run towards the pack, but they weren't immediately able to curb the, melee, the scrum, if you will. I have been watching a lot of UK news, so I might be in the weird position where I am actually gonna know more about rugby than I do about football eventually. Now, several open suitcases could be seen scattered around the terminal in the aftermath. The incident occurred at the debarkation area under the authority of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, a Carnival cruise spokesperson told the Post. The matter was turned over to law enforcement. We will not tolerate such behavior, and 24 people have been placed on our do not sail list. At least one person was arrested over the ordeal. It is not immediately clear what caused the ruckus or like why they started, wailing on each other after the cruise. But who knows? Honest to goodness, I don't know why people do anything anymore. That's why I do the news. I don't have to explain to you why it happened, just that it did. Well, for those of us who may be more teetotalers, this drink might help sudden cardiac arrest, so let's keep it on hand. And it's not red wine. Come on, vodka. Just kidding. Cheers. This alcoholic drink can help prevent sudden cardiac arrest, but it's not red wine. Talk about a bubbly breakthrough. Your next toast could be to your ticker because researchers are saying that drinking the right boozy beverage, or English is my first and only language, and yet I still can't do it some days. It is a miracle. The right boozy beverage to help save your life. I mean, this is the kind of study I need to know. Now, come on, Mike and Ike's will cure like halitosis. A new study suggests that regularly drinking champagne or white wine could lower your risk for sudden cardiac arrest, a serious condition which claims the lives of over 436,000 Americans each year. Now, the study, which was published in the Canadian Journal of Cardiology, identified 56 modifiable factors for sudden cardiac arrest based on the data of over 500,000 people. Now, research suggests that over 40 to 63% of cases of sudden cardiac arrest could be prevented by changing just a few of these factors. Apart from drinking champagne and white wine, other factors that have protective benefits for your heart could include eating more fruit, maintaining a healthy body weight, and staying upbeat and being well educated. Meanwhile, high blood pressure, poor sleep, sedentary behavior, smoking, and excess fat particularly around the arms, was found to increase the risk of sudden cardiac arrest. Now, all this previous studies investigating the risk factors were hypothesis driven and focused on the limited number of candidate exposure factors grounded in prior knowledge or theoretical frameworks. So it does look like they've actually done a full and comprehensive study. A lot of these studies that I tell you guys about, they only have about 1,000 to, 800 participants. So this is looking at over 500,000 cases. I mean, this does still seem to be on the level of like, be healthy, don't eat like a drunken toddler, don't smoke like a drunken toddler. Well, not that drunken toddlers should be drunken in the first place, but like a sailor, that kind of thing. So interesting. What I do wonder is, why, we've gone from white wine or from red wine to white wine. Now, the new research comes on the heel of a recent study that casts doubt on the long held belief that red wine is actually healthier than white wine. The study suggests that drinking white wine significantly increases the risk of skin cancer, though researchers note that the effect could be a correlation rather than causation. Yeah, I mean, if you drink an entire bottle of wine out by the pool, you're just going to fall asleep. In general, booze has become quite a controversial subject in the health sphere. On one hand, the Surgeon General has warned that any amount of alcohol can increase the risk of several cancers, while on the other hand, recent research supports the idea that moderate intake can be beneficial to brain health. I mean, there you go. So, basically, as with all of these studies, talk to your doctor. Do not buy magnums, Sarah Boone's worth of white Zinfandel thinking you're going to do something good to your heart. So, as with everything, take it with a grain of salt and talk to your real doctor. Don't take anything I say as medical advice. That's terrifying. Now, gird your ear loins because we have, well, just a cavalcade of stupid and criminal, which means that we must call upon Lord Chippy because he is the way we have to deal with these people. All right, you guys. Well, they're not the most, deplorable people, but they are the most distinctly odd, ridiculous, and, well, some heartbreaking cases from Lord Chippy today. Quote, didn't even have to wipe. How cops busted the Delco pooper, a woman who allegedly defecated on a car during a viral road rage incident caught on video. Now, this is just me personally, but you're sent directly from Greenland if to Greenland or, the Hunger Game island if you poo on someone's car. Like, I can't even begin to understand what went on with this woman's and she's smiling over here like I didn't even have to wipe. Like, ma'am, that is not a no, you should always wipe and wash your hands. I don't know why you are smiling, but now I'm worried about your hands being so close to your face. A Pennsylvania woman has been dubbed the Delco Pooper by the Delaware County residents and internet users who, discovered that she was arrested for allegedly defecating on a person's car during a road race rage incident that was caught on camera. Quote, I wanted to punch her in the face, but I pooped on her car instead and went home. Or you could have just gone home. Like, this is not an even either or thing. You could have not laid hands on someone and not pooped on their car. I have so many questions about how one even did this. Like, were you prairie dogging in and that's why you were road raging and you're like, "Well, this is definitely not gonna be, just a fart." And you're like, "Well, guess I'll leave a present for them, a stink pickle, if you will, of revenge." Christine Solometo, 40, who or 44, I'm sorry, this woman is 44, has allegedly told authorities after her arrest on April 30th for the incident, according to a police affidavit of probable cause, which was obtained by the Delaware County Daily Times. Now, Solometo, who is from Ridley Park, was charged with indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, harassment, and depositing waste on a highway for last Wednesday's alleged incident. Her affidavit says that she deposited an accumulation of liquefied human waste on the hood of the driver's car during a road rage attack. Okay, did we go full simians from the zoo where we just took our hand and then flung it back? Because I'm having logistical questions here, which I should not. But this is how we get final form Jesus, you guys. I don't even know. I don't even know. Now, Solometo has said that she walked back to her car. The driver of a silver sedan called her an insulting name, which made her angry, the affidavit said, according to the Daily Times. Now, she said that she wanted to punch the person in the face, but just pooped on her car instead because she was going to be the bigger person. I don't know that even Coles Cash maths at all. Now, Prospect Park Police Chief David Madonna, speaking to local NBC affiliate WCAU, said while the case and her actions are being joked about a lot, authorities are treating it seriously and handling her like any other alleged poop wrangler, I guess. "It can't happen in this community," Madonna said. "No one in town wants this to happen to their town. The recognition on a town that they get from this kind of thing is really unwelcome. We don't want this. Look, like, we don't know this turd goblin." Like like, she doesn't go here. This is full Mean Girls, like, she doesn't even go to this school. Now, it was reported, that, Chief Madonna and Sergeant Henry O'Neill nabbed Salmetto and took her into custody on Thursday after going to her Chester Park address to talk about what happened. Police were able to track the pooper down after talking to motorists who took video of the incident and getting her car info, according to the affidavit. Now, O'Neill was initially able to get in touch with Solometto over the phone Wednesday after calling the numbers listed for her family and friends, at the Daily Times. Now, she admittedly said that she thought it was a good idea, and she knew why sergeants probably wanted to talk to her, but she didn't want to go to the police station to talk about what happened. She instead chose to share her side of the story over the phone and claimed that she was having stomach issues Wednesday, which caused her to defecate on the other, driver's car. See, I just use kaopectate or, Pepto-Bismol, but there you go. When in doubt, when having tummy troubles, the greatest urban suburban remedy is to poo on someone else's car, apparently. She said the other driver was in front of her at a traffic light and mocking her after she honked her horn due to the motorist not accelerating right after the light turned green. Now, she believed that the motorist began following her, and that is why she stopped her vehicle and exited. So she was just on the street. Now, on Thursday, Madonna and O'Neill showed up at her home and asked for even more information about what happened. Now, she allegedly told them, quote, "It was a clean poop. I didn't even have to wipe." I don't know what is going on here. Now, she has been given names like the Delco Deucer, the Delco Pooper, by local residents and internet users and local paper reports. Video of her alleged road rage defecation has circled on social media platforms, along with footage of her being taken into custody. "I have a sickness," Solmeto can be heard saying. Now, she was arraigned Thursday night and released Friday after posting bail. Well, there you go. It was a clean poop. It was a clean poop. An unprepared divorce lawyer chased down his client and stabbed the mother of four to death to stop the case from going to trial. Now, I'm pretty sure, and this is just my personal opinion, but I do think Chandler Halderson's lawyers might have had fantasies about this prior to their opening statement as well. But they didn't do it because, just because you're an unprepared lawyer doesn't mean you get to unalive your client. But it happened. Now, Ohio authorities arrested a divorce attorney who said they murdered one of their clients because he didn't want the case to go to trial. Or you could have just said, "I don't want to be your attorney anymore." Gregory Moore, now 51, allegedly chased down 53-year-old Eliza Sherman outside his downtown Cleveland law office in 2013 and stabbed her to death. The motive, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office alleges, is because Moore wanted to incapacitate her so Sherman's divorce case wouldn't go to trial as scheduled. Moore on Friday was indicted for aggravated murder, conspiracy, and kidnapping. Now, according to the indictment, Sherman was set to meet Moore at his office around 4:30 p.m. on March 24th, 2013 to discuss her case that was slated to go to trial the next day. Now, the attorney told Sherman to call him when she was outside the office and he would let her in, but it was a meeting Moore never intended to have, prosecutors said. Now, according to authorities, the attorney was not prepared for her trial, and he had a history of crafting ways to delay his court appearance. The year prior, Moore had called three separate bomb threats to the two courthouses where he was slated to appear. Yeah, he's not a good lawyer. He's like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I'll just call in a threat." He would also go on to plead guilty and serve a 6-month jail sentence for those multiple bomb threats, according to the Cleveland Plain Dealer. On the day in question, Sherman texted Moore to arrive shortly before 4:30 p.m. to let him know when she had arrived at the office and that she would wait in her car until he got there. Now, unbeknownst to Sherman, Moore had turned off his phone, so it couldn't later be used by law enforcement to track him. The attorney allegedly used a company hotspot to text Sherman that he was here. Now, confused that he wasn't letting her in, Sherman texted that she was going to walk back to her car because it was cold out. But prosecutors say that either Moore or an unknown conspirator walked up to Sherman from behind, chased her down the street, and stabbed her more than 10 times. In another effort to throw off investigators, Moore allegedly kept texting Sherman asking where she was. Oh, the Canton, uh, texting brigade. Interesting. Now, Sherman called the police for help, and so did a passerby who dialed 911 after seeing her lying, on the sidewalk. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, but she was unfortunately unable to be saved. Now, as police investigated at the scene, Moore entered his office building through a back entrance to avoid detection, per the indictment. He turned on his cell phone and continued to call Sherman as if he didn't know about the assault. In the days following, Moore also switched cell phones. Now, the divorce case was obviously dismissed without having gone to trial. Her estranged husband passed away last year, per the Plain Dealer. Now, investigators had long suspected Moore, the divorce attorney. This doesn't surprise me. Ed Tumba, lead investigator for the Cleveland Police Department, told the Plain Dealer, I had my suspicions, but we didn't have all the evidence. When you deal with an aggravated murder charge, you have to be buttoned up tight. The prosecutors did charge Moore for lying to the cops about her death, and he also pled guilty to that charge along with the bomb threats that he had called in. Now, cops arrested Moore near Austin, Texas on Friday. He will be arraigned once he's brought back to Ohio. The Sherman family has waited over a decade for answers regarding their mother's homicide. Cuyahoga County prosecutor Michael C. O'Malley said in a statement, through the tenacious work of multiple law enforcement agencies, evidence was accumulated that paints the unmistakable picture that Gregory Moore orchestrated and participated in the brutal murder of Eliza Sherman. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations took over the case in 2021, and Sherman's murder was also featured on NBC's Dateline, television show. Sherman was a mother of four who was a nurse at the Cleveland Clinic. So just absolutely a tragic case, and one that I want to follow if it is going to be televised. Because is he still working as a lawyer? Was he able to continue to lawyer after calling in, threats and unaliving allegedly his client? And then, well, it's not exactly Tiffany's, but this man apparently was taking the Mickey out of, well, a bunch of Walmarts. And there is absolutely no shame. If you buy your wedding ring from Walmart, listen, Mama Mo here from the trenches of 14 years of marriage. It doesn't matter what kind of ring you buy. I mean, yes, I love my wedding ring, but if Mr. Mo hadn't been able to afford anything other than, something from Walmart, I would have been just tickled pink about that because it's not about whatever jewel or gem. So no hate, no looking down if you have a ring from Walmart or a family heirloom or from a pawn shop. It's a symbol. That being said, this man apparently was gonna marry all of his ladies. A Pennsylvania man's longtime thievery has been punished with a substantial stint in prison, according to Keystone State authorities. Matthew Patrick Gay, no connection, 34, was recently convicted on multiple offenses related to a string of diamond thefts that occurred at a Walmart supercenter near Athens Township, a small community along the New York state border, throughout 2022, according to a press release issued by the Bradford County District Attorney's Office. Now, in sum, the defendant stole 7 diamond rings valued at a combined price of $7,362.50 from the same store on several occasions. Sir, why are you going back to the same damn store? This, however, was not the first time that Gay has been convicted. Also, sir, if I'm going into prison, I would change my last name. After his arrest in October of 2022, the defendant was found guilty and slated to be sentenced in August 2024, according to the prosecutor's office. But Gay did not attend his sentencing hearing. Instead, he fled the country, as you do, or I'm sorry, the county, and a warrant eventually had to be issued for his arrest. Now, while on the run, he committed several similar offenses in Bergen County. The press release states a county located some 130 miles south, leading to a sentence of 5 to 24 months behind bars plus 2 years of probation. Now, in April 2025, the defendant made his way back to Bradford County, where he still faced charges of retail theft and default in a required appearance. The second charge was due to skipping his original sentencing date. Both of those charges are going to be considered felonies in the third degree. In the present case, Gay was sought for questioning because he was caught on surveillance footage asking a clerk behind the jewelry counter to view a particular ring. And when the employee was distracted, he switched out the stolen ring with a ring from his pocket. Now, at one point, the defendant was charged with grand larceny in the Empire State for doing the same thing, according to the prosecutor's office, but those charges were eventually dropped. Now, he was ultimately sentenced to a minimum of 23 months and 258 days in prison with a maximum sentence of 95 months. Gay's criminal history includes more than 24 offenses of this nature. For that reason, a lengthy prison sentence is appropriate. It appears the only way that we can protect Walmart, Walmart jewelry cases from this man. So there you have it. What in the world is going on with people? Crime is weird. Now, I have always being a lady, I am, a fan of girl power, but I don't know what you're proving other than your boobs are gonna hurt with this one. I was the first woman to run a London Marathon topless, and now I'm doing it again. Well, Godspeed to your boobs, because them are gonna hurt. I mean, and I don't understand how running topless is. Oh, now I understand why she's running topless. I generally don't read these before I read them with you, but I get it now. The first woman to run the London Marathon topless is feeling all fired up and excited to run it again this weekend. Louise Butcher, 51, last ran the 26.2-mile route on April 21st, 2024, 2 years after undergoing a double mastectomy for iobular brain cancer. Now, on November 3rd last year, she was one of 125 women who took part in a topless swim for the Royal Devon Hospital's charity. Louise is undergoing a run tour of the UK, covering cities like Bath, Cardiff, Devon, London, and the Great North Run in Newcastle. She is embarking on the London Marathon this weekend, raising money for Breast Cancer Now charity. Louise is a charity worker from Broughton, Devon. This will be my 5th marathon in total. I've only been running marathons for 2.5 years now. I'm proud of myself and proud of everyone else who has jumped on board to make topless running more normal and something that people can connect with. I feel really great and strong at the moment, and I haven't had any injuries. I've been doing my strength training for at least 3 months. It's totally about looking after your body and making sure that you're not doing too much, and it's just not about running. The power is healing. In April 2022, she was diagnosed with breast cancer after receiving an ultrasound on her left breast. The tissue was thickened, and she did have a single mastectomy in 2022, but then her surgeon discovered another tumor close to her chest wall, and she had a second single mastectomy in August. So in June, she had one, and then in August, she had another. Now, despite feeling a lot of pressure to get reconstructive surgery, she chose not to do it and says she has wanted to fight against the social norms to feel comfortable in her own skin. And absolutely, I've known people that have decided to get reconstructions and not, and it is such a personal choice. And now, having read the article, this is bravery. I mean, taking something that nearly or could have potentially killed you and being open about it, being open about the fact that maybe you didn't want reconstructive surgery, just very, very cool. Now, not something Mo is ever going to be brave enough to do, but if this is your jam, absolutely, absolutely. This is the kind of girl power we need. I did wonder how she was gonna do it because 'cause I'm thinking my chest and no support, and that's just painful. Look, that is gonna hurt. The charity volunteer ran virtually again in the 2023 London Marathon and vowed to take part in person the following year. On April 21st, 2024, Louise became the first woman to run the marathon topless while showing off her mastectomy scars. This year, she is beyond excited to take part in the epic run again. I'm excited and fired up for Sunday. I have to run it to get all of the energy out. I've been taking it fairly slower this past couple weeks to prepare. As well as wanting to raise awareness for breast cancer, she also wants to promote body positivity and self acceptance. A lot of people knew me through TikTok, so I had a lot of people cheering me on, Louise said. It would have been amazing as an experience to do it anyway, whether I was topless or not. But people saw me topless and they were crying. Women were shouting my name, and it's just unbelievable. Breast cancer surgeons were coming up to me and saying it was amazing. It just felt like the right thing to do to go topless at that time. She managed to raise nearly $5,000 for the charity Breast Cancer Now just by taking part in the marathon last year. Now that she's, undergoing her running tour of the UK, which will include the marathon, the Great West and Great North runs, she's been able to get more money. So just absolutely, what a again, when you read the headlines, you're like, "The hell?" But this is actually a good story. I'm glad. Like, yay. Because some of these things, we don't talk about them, and for her to be really open and be brave enough for other women to feel like they can maybe do some brave things, and men, what a great thing. Just what a great thing. And, well, I can proudly say that this was not my child for the final story. Now, generally, I can see my child doing this, but this is why I don't take my children to art galleries. Child damages a $56 million Rothko painting at a Netherlands museum. Dutch curators are considering the next steps after a child damaged a $56 million painting by American artist Mark Rothko while visiting a museum in Rotterdam. The work by Rothko, Gray, Orange, and Maroon, number 8, has suffered damage. Now, I am not an art historian or an artist or any sort of thing like that, but this looks like a painting that belongs on the front of a math textbook. I know it's art, I get it, but I don't get it. So why is this 60 million or $56 million dollars? It looks like one of them paint swatches and you're trying to figure out colors with your husband. It does look like candy corn. Now I want candy corn. Damn it. There were visible scratch marks that were in the unvarnished paint layer, a spokesperson from the Despot Biogems van Bigon, that was probably a hate crime, confirmed. It happened because a child in an unsupervised moment touched the lower part of the work. Now, the painting is from 1960 and was being displayed at the museum's depot as the main building is undergoing renovations, which are expected to be complete in 2030. Now, Rothko is famous for his abstract paintings, known for their floating color fields that were produced from 1949 to 1970. And just J Hip, no, the Diddy trial will not be live streamed. It is a federal case. Federal cases are not televised. We are going to be relying on people that are in there. Now, I was on the birthday stream with Nicholas, and I think and I could be getting this right or wrong, but the infamous Miss Sylvia will be in New York covering this. Um, I haven't heard anything about Joe covering this from, you know, oh gosh, not law of self. Joe. That being said, I don't know who all is covering it. Uh, and I do see in the very near future as trial watching good logic. I was like, why am I whiffing on the name? I do foresee more arguments being made to let federal trials be televised and things like that. I am not a lawyer. I don't know how you would argue this, but I think people are going to start demanding more transparency from the federal Justice Department. That being said, I don't know, if that's going to actually happen, but I do see there being a bigger push from the public to be able to understand what is going on in these federal cases. Now, federal cases, don't forget, we have Karen Reed. I am going to be sending you over there for day 9 morning. It looks like we are off to a rousing course of, alcohol and mathematics this morning to, go ahead and explain how they did all the math wizardry to get Karen Reed's, blood alcohol level from, several days ago. I am not sure who we have today. It is always a barrel of surprises for me. So I am going to send you over there so that you guys, because Baker knows all the answers. As always, you guys, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a sassy mouth and a can of bitch fire because kindness no longer equals doormat. Bye, you guys.